Let me show you how to make a delicious pizza crust that's super chewy. It's absolutely amazing, and I think you're gonna love it. One thing I did realize is as I was editing it, I totally forgot to include some of the most important directions, and that is to preheat your oven at 500 degrees and to put your pan in before. So pizza stones are great if you allow them to preheat long enough, but you need them in your oven for a super long time before that stone heats up to the temperature that you need. But if you're using just an aluminum pan or like a cheap pizza pan, I'll show you what I have, you can just throw that in and then start preheating your oven. And by the time you're ready to roll out the pizza, get the toppings on, and the oven has preheated, that pan is piping hot, and you can achieve a beautiful brown crust on the bottom of your pizza just by doing that simple trick. And you don't have to wait an hour or more for your pizza stone to come up to temperature. So this is the pizza pan that I use. It's not even the greatest quality or the most expensive, but it works great. But you can also take a sheet pan like this, like a cookie sheet, and turn it upside down, and then you just slide your pizza right on top of this. I've used both and both work great. Add the water, instant yeast, salt and sugar, olive oil, and bread flour to the mixer. You're going to knead this for 12 minutes in your mixer on low speed. You can also knead this by hand for about 15 minutes. You really want to work the dough well so that it creates a chewy pizza crust. When the dough is done mixing, you can tell it's finished because it's going to be really silky. So you can see as I'm kneading it, I need very little flour, and so I'm moving the rest of that flour out of the way. Once I roll it into a ball here, you'll see the top is super smooth, and so you know that you've kneaded it a good amount of time. Add it to your bowl that has some olive oil in it and spread that around the sides of the bowl. You're going to cover it with plastic wrap and let it rise for about 1 to 2 hours until it's more than doubled. Once it has risen, you're going to remove it from the bowl and you're going to split the dough in half to make 2 pizzas. Get a square of parchment paper and add a little bit of flour to the bottom, and you're going to use 1/2 of the dough and gently press out and stretch it. You can also use a rolling pin to do it, but you're going to lose a lot of the air in the dough, especially in the crust. So that's a personal preference. I really like a crust that has some air to it, and so I'm just using kind of like a stretch and fold method to try to spread out the sides of the dough, and you're going to want to push out the edges until your pizza is about 1/4 inch thick on the bottom, and then as thick as you want on the sides. It really depends on how thick you like your crust. Once you have your dough stretched out, you're going to go ahead and add your favorite tomato sauce or pizza sauce. I like to keep it pretty simple with crushed tomatoes and regular tomato sauce. I add a little bit of garlic powder and oregano to it, and then add your favorite toppings. For this one, I'm doing a simple cheese. I've got mostly mozzarella and a little bit of Parmesan on top. On the second one, I decided to use some fresh tomato because we have an abundance right now from our garden. So I sliced that super thin. I added a little bit of olive oil on the pizza crust first, and then sliced the tomato, added that on. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull apart some fresh mozzarella cheese to add to the top. Once it came out of the oven, I added a little bit of fresh basil on top. I just broke it apart into pieces. I also added a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper and a delicious balsamic glaze drizzle that's sweet. It is absolutely delicious. Take a peek at the bottom of the crust. You can see that it is nicely browned, which is something you can easily do in your oven when you preheat your aluminum pan at 500 degrees. The bottom is nice and cooked. I already took a bite because it's delicious.